Hello.
Well, hello. Hi, everybody. I'm Francesca Amato. Sorry, I hope there's not backbeat. And I'm happy to be here today. As you can see, we're on the podcast America's Freedom Voices, and I'm located right now in New York State at America's Freedom Voices Center, where it's like the hub of the nation. And we just opened. I am very excited about this. What a blessing. And we've had 2 seminars here already, and people are coming from all over the country, able to do seminars, both hybrid, both virtually and physically. I am a national advocate. If you don't know who I am, I have expert background in the Americans with Disability Act, the Constitution, all those good things that help to keep America alive. With me today is a very awesome and special guest, Dale Robinson. And Dale, Richardson. I'm sorry, I don't believe I just said that.
That's all right.
I know who you are. And Dale's going to introduce a little bit about what he's doing and how the two of us are working together. Dale?
Richardson. Yeah. No worries. I
don't know why I said Robertson.
Yeah. Actually, I think maybe I'll pull up the video of my daughter talking about it, and then we'll kind of get into it.
Okay.
She does a very good job of explaining it.
Perfect.
Hello friends, my name is Keisha, and I'm a proud member of the Métis Nation of Saskatchewan. I'm also a survivor of human trafficking. My trafficking began in Canada and crossed it to the United States. I was stalked, hunted, and ignored by the very systems that were meant to protect me. This is why, with my father, Dale Richardson, we started the Karis Project, an Indigenous survivor-led movement for humanity. We are dedicated to exposing human trafficking, government corruption, and holding institutions accountable. The judicial branch is broken. It has failed to restrain the evils that have come upon this republic. Whether it's family court failures, weaponization of the judiciary, COVID-era harms, or human trafficking, the courts have allowed these issues to continue unchecked for too long. One of the most powerful tools we're using is the Petition for Redress of Grievances. These are lawful constitutional actions rooted in the founding principles of this country. On May 19, 2026, a formal petition for redress of grievances was submitted to the United States Congress. This petition is demanding that Congress and the President use the powers under Article 4, Section 4 to preserve this Republican form of government by restraining these abuses pending congressional investigation. Through the Karis Project Action Plan, we are mobilizing people across the United States to strengthen this effort. This petition has been created as a template. If you or someone you love have been hurt by these same systemic failures in the courts or by government institutions, your evidence matters. When you come forward, please bring your evidence along with a copy of the Petition for Redress of Grievances. This helps connect your story to this growing constitutional record being placed before Congress. We are asking you to stand with us. Join the Karis Project Action Plan and help us build a precedent that demands accountability and protects the God-given rights of American families. Our united voices will compel Congress to uphold the Constitution and safeguard our liberties. United we stand, one nation under God. I will close with my favorite quote. The greatest want of the world is the want of men. Men who will not be bought or sold. Men who in their inmost souls are true and honest. Men who do not fear to call sin by its right name. Men whose conscience is as true to duty as the needle to the pole. Men who will stand for the right, though the heavens may fall. Thank you.
Oh, your daughter's wonderful. And I have a friend, his name is Brian Robertson, and for some reason, I don't know why I did that, but here's Dale Richardson, and we are partnering. And also just to let you guys know, I do, this podcast is with 4 hosts normally. If you've seen our very first premiere is with Diana Starr, my sister, Tony Jean Amato Kolpinski, and also the famous Andre Soriano, famous designer. We're not here to be partisan. I want to let you guys know that are watching. This is a very serious matter. It's nonpartisan. We're trying to bridge a gap and bring unity back to this country. without prejudice and craziness and nonsense. And so on that note, we really hope you enjoy this program today, but that you get involved, because this is very serious. Our children are suffering all over this country. Dale?
Yes, and like you said, it's a nonpartisan issue. Like, I don't care what your political persuasion is or what your background is. This is about protecting children. And if people want to make it political or whatever else, then I have no part in that, because children are the future. They're innocent and they don't need to be harmed. So this whole thing started out, it started recently in the last 6 years with what happened with my youngest daughter. And my oldest daughter, we decided to start the Karis Project. And she was like, look, she was taken when she was young, like I think 4 months old, by Child Protective Services. I lost parental rights. I had to fight 3.5 years to get her back. I won, even after losing parental rights. And my lawyer was telling me that I was going to lose. So I had to do some things outside of the box in order to get things done. And I spent a lot of time talking to the elected officials and so forth, and went to the media and went to a bunch of places in a very short time for them to get the pressure. And then they backed off and they were like, okay, he's too much trouble. Let's give him his kid back. And then 20 years later, I whistle blew and they didn't like it. And so they used my family matter to go after me. And I haven't seen my youngest daughter for 6 years now. June 1st was 6 years, and she just turned 7 in February 9th. And so we started to do this and started to collect a lot of evidence. And once we saw, after whistleblowing COVID, we saw the amount of people's children that were being taken and families were being destroyed. Like the divorces went through the roof. So we're like, this is insane. So we started to, start doing a lot of work. Then that's where we got a lot of pushback, but we were still able over that time to collect a lot of evidence. And we saw a repeating pattern. Like with my daughter's case and my case, we went from Canada into the United States, and the family courts were used in both cases, one in South Carolina and one here in Canada. And so we saw the same thing happening. We saw other people they were using the family court to punish people. There's no due process. A lot of people were getting put in jail. They were letting people who were committing crimes off of it. And so we went ahead and we did a couple of state level petitions in Arizona, Michigan, Texas, and Colorado. We did a couple here in Canada, in Alberta and Saskatchewan. And then we took one to the federal government here. And then we took one just recently, May 19th. Adriana, she took it down to Representative Anna Paulina Luna in person. Yeah. And so now it's on the record. But what we found out is that a lot of people don't even understand what to do with these things anymore, because they haven't been used for a long time, even though it's the constitutional right. And so a lot of it is going to be re-education, but we need people to take the power back into their hands, because the power belongs to the people, not the government, right? And so we have to compel them to do their duty. We're peaceful and lawful, but we have to be very persistent, extremely persistent, and not backing down. They need resistance at every turn, that somebody's in their face going, what are you going to do about getting this done? This is your job. And that's really it, over and over again. It's like, the widow and the unjust judge. You have to wear them out, right? And so this is what we're coming here together. We put that, I think the petition itself was just short. It's 3 pages, and then the signatures, but then the brief is like about 130 pages, writing up people's stories and explaining how everything ties together to the judicial branch, because we had blowers, you had people who were getting criminalized and all this stuff, and everything. Every person in that petition that officially signed had some issue with the family court, right?
Oh yeah.
And that tells you that this thing is completely out of control, and this is why we're moving this forward.
And for those of you that are watching that may not know, the work that I do over the almost 2 decades, and I court watch judges all over this entire nation. So what Dale is talking about is a pattern of abuse, of violations of the Constitution, the Articles of Human Rights, the Americans with Disability Act. The list just goes on. we will educate you in this video today. We're going to show you a couple things that'll get you up to date to where we are, because a lot of people think, well, if your child was taken, you've done something wrong. And I'm here to tell you, as a national multifaceted expert, that is not true. They're placing children with abusers and taking them from very good homes, because children, Dale, have become a commodity. Children are being trafficked through the family court system. And so this is why we have remedy and relief, which this is what we're supposed to be doing. And they don't know about it. That's the issue. Most families don't know what to do.
Well, yes, and there's a statistic. I think 83% of the time that they come in and take a child, they have no cause. That's 83% right. Of the time. Mm-hmm. So, and so there's 17% they might have a cause, but it may not be even strong enough. But 83% of the time, people have to let that sink in, right? 4 out of every 5 children taken should never be taken.
100%. Right? And we're going to show that too in the video later. So stay tuned. Also, wherever you're watching from, would you mind putting it in comments, telling us what state? And if anything that we're talking about today has happened to you or a neighbor or a loved one, please put that in comments. Continue.
And also share the video, because people need to hear about this, because most people don't think that they have any recourse, especially with the judges that they say have judicial immunity, which is nonsense. It's not written anywhere in any document, because if it was, it would never stand up to a constitutional challenge, right? Okay. Sure, they can get if they show that they have demonstrated that they followed the facts and the law, that is to protect them from somebody who didn't prove their case, right? But the key point is having due process, because what a lot of the times are happening, parents are being blocked from bringing their information in. The state gets to say what they want. You are put in a position where you're guilty until proven innocent, which that's not the case. The onus is on the state to prove that there's a reason for the deprivation of liberty that they're putting on there. And at the end of the day, children have no rights. And if children have no rights, then parents have no rights either. And this is the problem we're seeing.
That's right. I think what I'm going to do is go back and show a video that actually went massively viral in the state of New York on the New York State Assembly that I did back in 2019, because it really will set the precedence and have people that are not familiar with what we're doing, that are new here, understand what's actually happening in the family court CPS foster care system. So if you look here, Dale, there's 3 videos that look almost alike. It's going to say part 1, part 2, and part 3. Yeah. I was speaker 13. The only reason that I was able to speak at that event was because hundreds of New Yorkers told them they wanted me there. So they pushed me to the end, and I had to listen. It was very stressful. I had to listen to CPS workers toot their own horns, and I had to listen to all these nonsense, garbage, evil talk. And that's why you hear what I say here. But this should have been changed by the next morning after this video, after this assembly at the New York State Assembly. And go ahead and I'll have Dale go ahead and start that.
Which one is it?
Actually, I might be able to do it. Let's see.
Because there's 3 of them.
Why, you ask? Well,
sorry, it should say part 1, part 2, and part 3.
Yeah.
I just can't see it. Part 1.
Do you want part 1 up first?
Yes, please. And then we'll do part 2 and part 3.
Okay.
Francesca Amato, the founder of the National Advocate, punished for protecting Incorporated.
First, I want to thank both of you, Assemblywomen Walker and Jaffe, for having this and for being so patient all these hours listening to all of these experts and professionals and families. My name is Francesca Amato. I am here on behalf of countless New York families that I personally advocate for, who requested I speak on their behalf. Is that a little too loud?
That's perfect.
Okay. My son and I have also been victimized by the family court. As a national advocate, we realize now that this is the actual gateway door to the epidemic of human trafficking in which we are finally seeing exposed. If I get under your skin today, I am not sorry, as we all must have a moral compass and obligation to end this nightmare. I vehemently oppose this merger. I would be thrilled to see the courts be completely abolished. I will tell you with firsthand knowledge that the statistics through Health and Human Services' own admittance why. Punished for Protecting Incorporated is a New York State registered nonprofit 501c4. We are helping families nationwide through raising awareness on our TV and news programs and helping families injured by family court and CPS abuses. Our national advocates are trained in ACE, Adverse Childhood Experiences, Saunders, Myers, social science research that shows the long-term effects to children and families from being separated. The truth about PASS, parental alienation syndrome, false allegations, Stockholm syndrome, wrongful separation of biological family, families who are re-victimized due to abuse. This affects all races, all social and economic backgrounds, all, not poor only. I love all people, but this affects every color and every social economic background. We have families devastated by court orders after they become traumatized and bankrupt. We educate Congress, legislators, and public servants through college lectures and raising awareness through social media and my own TV and news programs. This includes teaching our real rights versus what has been told to the people in violation of civil liberties and parental rights. Punish for Protecting Incorporated spearheads many events for social reform, education, and overall change. I am a national advocate with specialty in ADA, American Disability Act, accommodations and violations, as well as a two-time best-selling author of the book Punish for Protecting the Injustice System of Family Court, my true story of the abuse my son and I endured at the hands of Judge Anthony McGinty of Ulster County Family Court. Deception. Those who are deceived are the last to know it. There is a huge disconnect from the judges to the families, and advocates bridge the gap of communication. Through this lack of communication, families too many to number have suffered lifelong trauma. This affects our communities, our state, and our nation. The head director of the Children's Home in Poughkeepsie, New York, did a slideshow presentation on November 13th at an event sponsored by Senator Serino that I attended and spoke at. She spoke and showed the statistics from the Polaris report, showing that 86% of sex-trafficked children are through foster care and social services. That's almost 90%. In the slideshow, it also showed that these children run from group homes due to abuse. A recent report by LOHUD notes that New York ranks 5th in the nation for human trafficking, with sex trafficking making up the majority of those crimes. The same story quotes the director of this Hudson Valley Human Trafficking Program, who states clearly that human trafficking is occurring in every corner of every neighborhood in the Hudson Valley. Who is making these orders? Family court judges make these orders. We strongly feel that not only should the courts be abolished, but the family court judges should be arrested for treason under Title 18, Sections 241 and 242. It's all over the media, case after case of child murdered by foster parents, CPS workers falsifying records and even falsifying drug tests, and contracts with hospitals to medically kidnap children for requesting a second opinion.
Can go to number 2.
Okay.
Why, you ask? Well, in 2009, according to a survey by the Leadership Council for Interpersonal Violence, over 58,000 children were given to abusers. If you wonder why there's such an opioid crisis, how would you feel if your child, young adult, or elder ripped from your safe and loving biological families was placed in danger and then placed on psychotropic drugs to silence their emotions? We must wake up. We have a fatherless nation of good fathers who love and support their children because the family court keeps them away, and all the while giving unfettered access to abusive fathers and restraining good mothers, supervising good mothers for telling the truth about abuse. Some fathers have never met their own children but pay child support and live under false allegations while true abuse goes unchecked and victims are re-victimized. We now have where courts and CPS work together to separate loving families, mothers and fathers, with false allegations, which is a crime in every state, but goes ignored because it helps the narrative of stealing children and selling them into trafficking. A great fallacy is that an abductor comes into a Walmart and abducts a child. This is not true. They come from a court order rendered by a family court judge. This is why the child trafficking is being exposed at these unprecedented numbers, ripping families apart, placing children in danger, taking away a protective, loving parent, and keeping that parent from protecting their child causes all members of the family extreme trauma and PTSD. ADA violations are off the charts, and the courts are clueless about the accommodations for emotional disabilities that they caused by harming families at this level. As a national advocate, I court watch these judges all over our state and, yes, our nation. There is an appearance of a court with their evaluations, their bar members, their professionals. I have personally witnessed judges giving unfettered and full custody to abusers, never proceeding to the side of caution. Over and over, I have watched them harass and abuse protective parents when they report abuse. Many times, unlicensed medical bar members have stated that mother or father is coaching, and they remove that parent from the life of the child and place the child or children directly into the hands of the abuser. I have a full database of over 12 years of cases compiled with police reports, forensic medical reports that go ignored. 58,000 is not a clerical error. It's a direct, strategic, and sophisticated decision and the gateway door to child and family trafficking. The Hudson Valley, according to the human trafficking bill that Senator Serino is endorsing, is the highest concentration of trafficking in our state. I ask you again, who is making these orders? Only a family court judge can make these orders. CPS does not have this authority. But what makes these matters so much worse is this. Are you aware, and please look this up yourself, that according to Schwar versus Board of Examiners, there is no such thing as a licensed attorney in any state as per our Supreme Court. Assigned counsel and paid counsel is an interpreter of their law. The practice of law is a common right. If that is not bad enough, you will never find one place on the congressional record anywhere, state or federal, where the people voted in the family court or CPS. This is high treason. These errors of harming and endangering families to these outrageous amounts of missing children, exploited children, and trafficked children through this sophisticated multi-trillion-dollar industry must be abolished and the actors arrested at once. We can't fix this. We have to hold it accountable. A judicial system must be accountable to render orders and or make just decisions, and it can't when it's clearly not just itself. Why do these judges purposely place children with abusers? The reason is clear. Then CPS can step in and eventually filter them through services that we pay for, foster care that we pay for, and forced adoption, the black market of the adoption industry. Federal funding at its finest. Please look this up for yourself and get informed. We, the people, want this system abolished and held accountable for the years of abuses and irreparable and ignored damages to countless New York families and children. And in closing, let me say that the unified court system is already merged. This is why families have no way out. There is no accountability. The system polices itself. When you report to the Committee on Judicial Conduct, it never holds anyone accountable. Everyone claims to have no jurisdiction, and the reason is the family court is a private for-profit business with a Dun & Bradstreet business number. They claim to be public, but everything is done privately. You can't be both. There is no accountability because there are no evidence-based practices. No evidence is taken onto a real record. Hearsay is taken as fact. There is no due process and no trial by jury of one's peers as our rights demand. These crimes against humanity must be held accountable. There is no place for any family to get help, as the appellate courts hardly overturn anything unless it has huge public attention. Judicial immunity is a get-out-of-jail-free card and the highest danger to public integrity and safety. These judges do anything they want, no matter how imprudent these decisions are and how dangerous to these families and children their decisions are. The harm they have caused our families, there is no amount of money that can ever pay them back. There is no way possible that these judges have gotten all these harmed families' cases right, that less than 2% get overturned. As far as I'm concerned, the courts have already merged by the unified court system and must be held accountable through abolishment and arrest. Thank you.
It does sound like you have had some very negative experiences and understanding of what has been going on in the courts. The trauma that the children face, have you noted that? Is there any response to that and under these circumstances that you have noted?
So the difference between me and then the people that you have seen up here, especially the ones that work for CPS, or Sheila Poole, who the late Assemblyman Frank Spartatos actually wrote her several letters with me, working with him before he passed away for years, that went unanswered, just to let you know. I work with countless families all over the state and the country, so I get to personally experience what they're living, and I get to personally get to know them. And I don't do it in a haphazard way. I really get to know the family and the dynamic and the suffering that they go through and the trauma and the ripping apart. When they talk about due process, having an attorney next to you, that people don't want that. They don't care that an attorney just walked in the door with them 5 seconds before, whether they paid for them or not. They care that the attorney doesn't care about them and works for the system, no matter what. And the cost is their children, their lives, their livelihood, their jobs, their houses, everything they worked for, their entire bank account. Whether they're rich or poor, they lose everything because they want to save their families and their children, all because of a false allegation. And I get to see that every day. So that's why I speak for the families who didn't speak today. We heard what CPS wants to believe. We heard what CPS wants to tell people, the lies that they tell people. The judges, they're just in a box somewhere. They're not even in the reality of the real world, making and ordering and rendering decisions that families have to live by, ordered to live by, like some kind of slave in bondage. And it's not a way for any of us to live, especially in the 21st century. We should have got this right a long time ago. I've been speaking for a long time, and for me to have to be here today, I'm thankful and grateful for how far we've come, but this is disgusting that this goes on every day in our nation. I see mothers and fathers put in jail for doing nothing wrong while real criminals are freed. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
In terms of, just the last question, the potential solution to the obstacles that you have discussed.
Well, how can a broken system help broken families? The only solution that I see is abolishment and arrest according to our laws. So Title 18, Section 241 and 242 would hold them accountable for these treasonous actions. When the bar membership is not a licensed membership, like they've been telling the people, when they tell the people they're too dumb to interpret English, when you're standing before a judge, it's common sense and common law for everyone. So we're told that we have to have someone represent us, and they don't represent us because we're too foolish to know better. If I don't know the law, then how can I be held accountable for it? Everything is backwards, it's twisted, and it's wrong, and it's destroying the health and welfare of all of our nation inside our borders. There's no other answer than to abolish this system and arrest the judges. That's what the people want. We never voted it in, so it has no legal standing to touch any of us. It has no legal right to tell us what to do, how to live, what hoop to jump through, and then maybe you'll get your kids back. Or to dangle your children over you and tell you, you had Cheerios on the floor, we're going to take them, they're in danger, and we'll talk to you about it in a week from now. That's not due process. Having an attorney is not due process either. Having a system that's legitimate, having a real justice system, that would be the only way that it would be due process, and it hasn't been that for decades. There is no other answer. We need to take the axe to the root.
Well, thank you for sharing that. There's a lot with that. That was in 2019. We do have the solutions now. That's why we're here today. That's why I'm partnered with Dale, the Karis Project, and the Family Justice and Accountability Act, which is a model. It's I've been back and forth in DC. I am working with multiple Congress members on both sides. What Dale is talking about right now is to inform you, the public, so you can get involved with what we're doing. on all the venues that we are appearing on right now, which is Jersey Coast Emergency News. We're on my channel, Punished for Protecting Incorporated, and then that's on YouTube, by the way. And then you can also find us if you're watching on America's Doctors, which I'm also on the board of, okay? On those pages, you can find links to help. So there would be links to, sorry about that. There will be links to, there's an echo? Okay, sorry. There will be links to how to get help. That's through Book a Talk with me, and that's for professional help with your cases. And then there's also free Zoom meeting every single Wednesday night that you can join to be a part of what we're doing. This is a huge national movement. During the government shutdown, I brought down over 250 families to Washington, D.C. It just goes to tell you just how huge of a problem this is. And over the years, now I'm pushing 2 decades. So that was in 2019. We're now in 2026. We are the solutions. Thank you, Wes. We are the solutions, okay? And that's what we're doing now. And we want to get you involved because the more of you, the better. So Dale, if you can kind of elaborate more on what we're doing and how we're incorporating FJAA, which is the solutions to what you're doing and how we're bringing it together. And we've been able to get on some of the congressional records throughout certain states.
Yes. So what we're doing is going back and using the First Amendment right to petition for redress of grievances, which is not what most people think, where you just go and sign the petition and get a bunch of people signed and put it in. This is very different. We actually looked up what the petition was and how to do it from the time the Constitution was written. And this is what it was meant, is that you write up your petition, you bring it into the government, let them hear it, and then decide what needs to be done with it. So we're getting people to come in and to take their information in. They have it with the download packages that you can print off. There's a copy of the FJAA that will deal with the family court issues and so forth because they need legislation. We're also demanding that they use the emergency powers under Article 4, Section 4, the Guarantee Clause. The last time they used something like this was like the Civil Rights Movement, when they were dealing with the segregation and had to send in the National Guard. This is the same type of thing that's happening, except you're getting systemic deprivation of rights on children in the family courts and all courts altogether. But at the most part, if you can't protect your children, there's a problem. So when you bring this in, you go in, you take it into your congressman, your office in your area, or a senator, U.S. senator or U.S. congressman. You can either use the sheriffs to serve it. If you can't afford that, or you've got bad sheriffs, then just take it in person and film it and then put it online. And then we want people to put a record.
You'll guide them through the process, correct? You'll guide them if they don't know what they're doing. Because I know people feel sometimes.
Yes, we have an action plan. I'm in the process of still transferring the website over. But you can reach out to me at unity@dsrkarisconsulting.com, or you can find me on Facebook, or you can look for the Karis Project on YouTube, Rumble, Vocal, and so forth, or X, or whatever platform. And you can contact us through there if you need any help, because we want people to learn how to do this and to teach other people so that you can go and bring this to your areas so that you can get other people to do this, because this is a grassroots movement. We have to compel the government to do their duty. And this is the whole point. There are people that want to do their jobs. There are people that are criminals, and there are people that are just somewhere in between, whether they're stupid, whether they're blackmailed, whatever. The whole fact of the matter is nothing is getting done. But we need to get people to come forward to put this public pressure. And this is like your basic First Amendment right. So most people can't sit down and outright say we're not going to do it. But they're going to try to sidestep it because this is a big business, and a lot of people who have a lot of money, like the big pharma companies, are also involved in this, because wherever you see them medicating the children, or for example, Alexandra's case, they took the child to go and butcher the child. They're making money off putting them on those drugs and then cutting them up. And then after they're done, what are they going to do? They're going to be on more drugs because they're miserable.
That's 100%. And Alexandra, matter of fact, her and her husband is the one that did the letter. So I do a lot of policy advising. I'm back and forth to DC with RFK Jr. When you said about some of them that are kind of like in the middle, or they don't know what to do, he's been, I don't want to say compromised, but He's been wanting to do certain things that he can't do, but I'm completely against the Fostering the Future Act. It might sound good to some of you. We're going to show you why with a video that was done by a lot of my team. And for interactive help with us, just join Wednesday nights. It's in the description. It's completely free and it's open to the public. So definitely join us Wednesday nights. Dale is on there. I'm on there. Tons of us are on there. We have advocates in every state. We cover the whole country, by the way. I know I'm specifically talking about New York, but we do the whole entire country. We're handling the whole country. Okay, this is a problem all over. Dale, would you mind showing them the video that was done? And you're going to see this was a letter written by Alexandra and her husband that he's talking about this message.
In the United States, over 400,000 children are in foster care system right now. Studies show that foster care alumni are among the most trafficked population in this country. Up to 85% of sex trafficked victims have prior child welfare system involvement. We are 22 families. We have lived inside this system. We have watched courts remove children from safe, loving homes and place them in dangerous ones. We have watched the system that was supposed to protect our children become the pipeline that has endangered them. Mrs. Trump, Mr. Kennedy, you have both spoken about protecting children, about a home for every child. And we're here to tell you, the family court system is standing in the way of that promise. This is our letter to you.
Open letter from concerned parents to First Lady Melania Trump and Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Dear First Lady Melania Trump and Secretary Kennedy, we thank you for your dedication to protecting America's children and advancing child welfare.
We come to you as parents from across New York, Texas, Florida, California, Alaska, Washington, Idaho, Montana, South Dakota, North Dakota, and all across the country with direct experience in the foster care and child protective service systems.
We strongly oppose the ACF's $7 million performance-based rewards for states with the best foster ratios and the Fostering the Future Act.
The initiatives create dangerous incentives that prioritize child removal over family preservation.
Federal Title 4E funding already reimburses states $4,000 to $33,000 per child per year, plus adoption bonuses, expanding the system at the expense of families.
Annually, there are 4.3 to 4.7 million CPS reports, with 80 to 84% unsubstantiated.
Removals break down as neglect 55%, often poverty related, drug abuse 31%, physical abuse 13%.
70 to 95 emergency removals occur without prior court hearing.
Only approximately 45% of children reunify with parents. Many lose rights within 12 to 15 months.
Investigations occur 5 times higher in low-income families than in other populations.
In the U.S., 4.4 million referrals, 2.1 million screened in, 329,000 in care, 46,935 adopted, 15,379 aged out in the fiscal year 2024.
In California, approximately 382,000 referrals, 192,000 have been screened in, approximately 36,000 to 38,000 children in care, several thousand have been adopted, and 2,684 aged out in 2024.
In Texas, approximately 245,000 referrals, 207,000 screened in, approximately 17,000 in care, approximately 4,000 adopted, and approximately 1,000 plus aged out.
In Massachusetts, approximately 93,000 intakes, about 45,000 screened in, and approximately 8,500 to 9,000 in care, and approximately 800 to 835 adopted, and a few hundred aged out.
Parents across states report that these policies prolong trauma, ignore kinship, and reward system expansion over reunification or grand family support.
On behalf of families victimized by the family court system, CPS, and DCF, who lost their children due to severe violations of constitutional and human rights under the family court's guilty until proven innocent standard.
Cases stay hidden because parents are gagged, records are sealed, and challenges trigger retaliation and judicial warfare from CPS and DCF agencies and judges.
All right. Yes.
Did it freeze?
I think yeah, it did.
That's the old one. That's not the full version.
Oh, okay.
There's so much more to that.
Yeah, that was the one that she sent me recently.
Yeah, that's the old one. That's not the full version. Darn it. Okay, well, I really wanted to educate everybody, but there's some information there. We do have the full version. If you would look on Facebook, you definitely want to learn the whole thing and see what's actually happening to understand how dangerous this is to have more homes, because it's literally opened the door to more child trafficking. Bottom line, that's what this has come to. If you need help or you want to be a part of this very powerful movement that we're doing, I believe that this is not just historic, but that we are mandated by God. I believe that we need to be doing this. We must be doing this because this is affecting everyone in this country, whether your home has been personally affected or your neighbor has been affected. Your life has been affected in some way, your child's life, because your little boy could have been friends with the kid across the street. God's plan was for them to have a life together, to go to college together, to play football together, to be best buds, to maybe get married around the same time and raise families, and logarithmically this continuing. And instead family court came in, CPS came in, foster care came in, and just destroyed that and completely made that go in a direction that it shouldn't be. That may sound very simple, but there's much more deeper concerns than that. The trafficking that happens through children, as we've proven here and we've shown you, is off the charts. Okay, we talked about New York, we talked about multiple states, and where this is happening. Everybody that I speak to, I don't care who you are, if you've dealt with family court, you don't like it, you've had a problem. It's not just because you weren't happy with the outcome. It's because your children were placed in danger. It's because their lives were completely dismantled. Your life was dismantled. It was harmed. Something else that I offer here at the center or nationally is something that was launched last year, and it has had 100% success rate. It's called Alternative to Family Court. If you are entering family court, please try to get along with the opposite party as much as you can, because this is the most safest way to go. We tailor a sessions process for your family to ensure that you make your own decisions. You're not forced by a judge, and we teach you and we educate you that's tailored to your family so that you will not end up in a big mess at the end. Okay, because some people, you're not just losing your children to a system, but everything about your life, your livelihood, your holidays, maybe businesses, homes, everything that you should have been moving and operating in. This has negatively impacted families all across our entire country to the point where people don't even see it anymore. Because when you're in a mess like this, sometimes you can't even see the way out. But this is the answer. What Dale is doing, what we're doing with Congress members, these are the solutions, and we really would love for you to join us, be a part of this huge situation that we're handling, because it's going to go into the generation. So it's not just this particular decade and next decade. This is going to go into your children and your children's children. What we do today will affect them down the road.
Well, and I want people to understand that it doesn't matter whether you're directly affected or not, you're indirectly affected, because when you look at through COVID, families broke apart at record numbers. children were getting trafficked at record numbers.
Yes.
Then you look at the lawfare. When you wipe out parents, it makes it easier to steal their children. When they throw them in jail unjustly, it's easier to steal their children. At the end of the day, all of the things that they're doing is breaking down the families to destroy the children. And this is how you destroy a country. So this is why we went at the entire judicial branch, because it's all tied together. So somebody is going to have some beef at some point in time. And if we all pull together, we're going to deal with this problem, because they're all attacking us slightly differently, but it's all the same problem. And it's the judges from top to bottom, because once you get from the family court, they start charging you, then they start coming after you in other ways. And people are getting drained of everything that they have. They're getting thrown in prison. I've got 2 mothers right now. They're in prison because of this nonsense.
Yeah, it's
right.
Insane. Report abuse, and you're immediately diagnosed with the false parental alienation syndrome, and your children are taken away from you, and you can't protect them. You're told you can't take them to a doctor. I mean, it's just insane. All the things that would prove the abuse. It's complete opposite. And I've seen this. I have firsthand knowledge because I see every case all across the country for almost 2 decades. So if you want to ask anybody what's really happening, come talk to me, because I can tell you what I see every day, not just what people tell you. There's a lot of statistics that are out there. They're not true. Okay. Like, there's a lot of things that are happening that are not true at all, which we educate you on, which we don't have time for obviously today to do. I do want to say also, and I wish we had the entire video. Hopefully we can get that uploaded and show it at another time, because there's just so much more to it. But I thank everyone that participated in that video. I do want to say, if you do need help, and again, it's free on Wednesday nights at 7:30. Please join that on Zoom. That should be in every description, whether you're watching on Jersey Coast Emergency News, United Doctors of America on Facebook, or my YouTube channel, Punished for Protecting. You can get all that information there. If you need help from my organization, you would just simply click the Book a Talk link and fill out the form, and then my scheduler will get back to you shortly, within probably 24 hours. So what Dale is doing, though, this has just been amazing, and I love it, because Dale, the families that come to you that are doing this with you and using FJAA as a solution, which is what I've been using with my clients all these years, and that's why we have so many more successes than attorneys, because first of all, we don't work for the courts, we work for the people, we work privately, where the attorneys work for the courts. And FJAA, all it does is, it's not giving you new laws. It enforces the Constitution, it enforces the Articles of Human Rights, and it enforces the Americans with Disability Act, which the courts do not want to use, which makes it treason, which I've discussed. When you're doing this, Dale, the families that come in, and we have some horrible stories, they're able to insert their particulars of their case into it, and then it shows the solutions as to what the Congress members are supposed to be doing. And this is our proper process, right?
Yes. And what we've done is we've taken the cases that we have and we've created a template. We've shown the pattern of behavior of what takes place when you go to these into these courts. And yes, it's in the family court, it's in the civil court, the immigration court, the criminal court, it's all there together. But we're watching this thing happen. So each person that brings their information in with this, it strengthens the pattern. And this is how they catch criminals and like deal with RICO cases and so forth, is where you see this repeating pattern. And when you're seeing, so when each person brings this in, it then just adds to it. And we want to make sure that we get enough people to come in and get this together to force this to the floor. Because yes, the FJA solution, but it's not going to do something in the immediate time, because it has to go through Congress, and that takes time. And this is why we're asking for things like them to use the powers under Article 4, Section 4, to start removing the judges and protecting the children while due process takes its course. Yes. And those things are very quick, but then we'll get to have a public hearing and then see why these things need to be dealt with, because this is what these criminals are trying to avoid, because they like to operate in obscurity and in the shadows because they're abusers. We need to give them a lot of sunlight and give the people the ability to do this. So share this and let people know that they can bring their stories in and bring this in with the copy of the petition and the FJAA, so that you can tell your local congressman that this is happening to me, and I want this dealt with, and it's our constitutional right, and you have a right to a Republican form of government. That's
And
really
I'm in DC 2 to 3 times a month. Now I have a RFK Jr. Events coming up at the end of this month and the early July, multiple Congress members. So, I stay deeply involved. That's why I do the Wednesday nights. Chelsea, thank you very much, because she actually put the link in comments. That's the full video, it's amazing. I highly recommend you guys to watch it and share it. It's already going viral, and it's a letter to Melania Trump and RFK Jr. Yes, just because I agree with a lot of that he's doing, and that, he's been very graceful, and we've been getting a lot accomplished. He still's not fully educated on what's happening. So they think they're doing the right thing, but they're not. And I don't have a problem telling them. I also want to say, for those of you, that are watching, we really, I know I said this before, we really would like to see you guys get involved, especially if you suffer this. Because let's face it, okay, I would like to see, as you saw, the family court system abolished. We have to get as close to that as possible, and that's what FJAA does, because unfortunately, in the world in which we live, we've got police officers that are cheating on their wives with school teachers. We've got, then they're remarrying, and they're leaving their biological children behind, and they're starting a new family. So we have a need for court, unfortunately, to protect people's rights. We have, women that are going after somebody else's husband and cheating and causing. We've got all these crazy making things that I call Jerry Springer lifestyles, that that people are doing things that going into people's covenant marriages and doing all this crazy making, which opens the door to the government being able to hurt you more. Now you're already in trauma, you're already hurting, you're already trying to protect your family and your children and what you have, your assets and your future. And so then you go into these court systems, and then you're dealing with this insanity on top of it. So we're here to literally stop that. And we don't just talk about like all this stuff, okay, like the credentials and the social science research, and then the remedy for me doing this for almost 2 decades, and working with other good advocates that are working together, and families that have been helping us and assisting and doing all these different things, and the ones you saw in the previous video that unfortunately got cut off. It's not just that we have this working together, and this is wonderful, okay? But there's an aspect of this, and I always have to put God first in everything. It says in the Bible, first the church, then the world. And I talk to those of you that are faith-filled. We've got to repent, and we've got to stand in that place, but because we're bridging that gap. We're the person standing in the gap, so to speak, to do the right thing. Because without that, it does leave an open door to the enemy to continue to destroy families worse than they've already been harmed. So I always have to bring that first, always have to put God first in all that I do, to the best of my human ability. And I know Dale feels the same way. When all that we're doing, we put God first, okay? Because without him, we really can't get anywhere. And also, a lot of people need a lot of healing, and we're here for that too. So this is a full-on advocacy. We cover everything that you can possibly imagine. And here at the center, America's Freedom Voices, it's in collaboration with Tony Gina Amato-Kopinski, who's my sister, with all about holistic health and nutrition and biblical health. It's just amazing, because it's mind, body, soul, spirit, every aspect of our lives, keeping our families safe. This is all about bringing this nation back together, one nation under God. We need agreement. We need unity. There's always going to be corrupt people. There's always going to be evil government. There's always going to be those that you can't unify with. And we're not expecting to unify with all people. That's not what the Bible says. But those that we should be, we have to stop looking at each other as, are you a Democrat or a Republican? Because kids don't care. When they're in danger, they're not like, who's coming to help me? Oh my gosh, is that a Democrat or a Republican? They don't look at that. Okay, we need to start mending and healing this nation and working together for the better good of our children and this nation, and protecting them from this nation at the same time. So I don't know if you want to wrap up with anything else, Dale, on that note.
Yeah, I think yes, we have to understand that, as believing in God, that you have to put things first. And God calls men to do the work that needs to be done. And so we need more men to be like Elijah and Mordecai and so forth, instead of being like Gideon before God fixed his cowardice issue. Because, at the end of the day, the Bible tells us that we have to ensure that judgment and justice is done in the gate. The gate represents the court system. He says, why? Because if you don't, then violence will go through the land. Because if you can't have the judges restrain the wrong behavior, you're going to have lawlessness.
That's
And
right.
this is where God takes exception, because he's a judge. He is the judge of all judges, and he's a righteous judge, and he doesn't want people running around doing this stuff to allow wicked people to go free. And so this is a moral obligation to call out the court and correct this, because if you can't, guess who gets persecuted next? Christians. Come to Canada and you'll see what happens. They just basically outlawed the Bible with one of the bills they just passed, C9, that just is like calling it hate speech.
Yeah.
So this is what is going to happen if you don't do this, and you won't have a future for the children. And the men, if you have any issues and you are having issues where you're feeling like you can't do this anymore, reach out to me. I can help you, talk to you about what I did to get through all of this situation, because I had experiences with both of my kids and getting completely destroyed, but God has kept me. And that's where I'll say it again. It is Jesus. We need to get back to that, and we need to humble ourselves and repent, and then go forward in faith and do what is right, because the women have been standing on this for so long by themselves.
Yeah.
You can't have half your army sit out and expect to win. We're fighting not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and wickedness in high places. This is straight from the devil, because what they're doing to the children is the most unspeakable evil. And don't worry about Democrat or Republican, because you know what? There's going to be no divisions like that in heaven. If you can't get along here now, you might not be going to the right place.
That's right. Thank you. You said it so much better than I did. Thank you so much for that. Guys, thank you again. Please look in the description. That's how you get the help you need. And to join us, I believe you're mandated. I believe this is a charge right now. That's why I believe this door is open for us to speak to you guys. If you feel led, please get in touch with us. You have very many options to do so. Come in through Wednesday. We'll make sure we hook you up with Dale as well. The more the better, like I said, and there is an uncountable army of families. I know because of the work that I've done. I know because the database, now this is 6 years since I did that in New York State Assembly. And, like I said, it should have been changed. It should have been changed overnight. When you take an oath to the Constitution and the court's not running on it, that tells you something. That's a big problem. And it should have been an instant fix. We have the answers. We have the solutions. So come and join us. And thank you. And Dale, thank you so much for all that you're doing.
Thank you for having me.
Can you run the credits?
Oh, yes.